Hello, and welcome to Take This TV, the television book club podcast, where each week we watch an episode or two of our favorite shows and we talk about them with our friends of the fandom. Guess what? That's you. It's you. I'm Carmen Askanese. I'm joined as always by the wonderful Kimberly Woods. Hello.
Little hot potatoes.
This season we're watching Shogun.
And today we're on episode 7. It's called A Stick of Time. Outplayed by new alliances in Osaka, Toranaga is forced to carve out a new deal with a long-lost family member.
Boy, howdy.
Boy. This episode opens 46 years ago. Toranaga's first battle, little baby Toranaga, the boy warlord.
The boy warlord.
So he's asked to cut off the head of the person he's just defeated. And we learn later in this episode that the little baby boy lord took 9 hacks to get that head off.
Gross. The pain.
So poor Toranaga has known war for a very, very, very long time.
I do love that, like, over the course of the show, we sort of see Toranaga be very reluctant to, like, fight or have violence or go to war. But there are other folks, like his son, Nagakado, and others who are ready and eager to fight. But he's always warning, like, people who haven't seen battle are the most eager to fight. And I love that. And it seems like his son is a really slow learner.
Toranaga is faced with having to possibly surrender. He's like, come what may, if that's what it is, I will gladly commit seppuku. It's just like, either way, he's eager for it to happen and be a part of something. And boy, oh boy, when we get his death at the end there, it is just sad.
Yeah,
I
very
sad.
audibly was like, oh! I wasn't ready. Like the whole episode, we're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like Toranaga, he's got some scheme, he's got some plan, but it really seems like he intends to surrender. And even at the end there, when he admits to his brother that he's going, because the twist, you all know, you've seen the episode.
Yeah. we start out like seeing him greeting his brother and thinking, okay, he's been reluctant to do this. What's going to happen? And then his brother Saiki is like, oh hey, yeah, we're fine with joining up. Let's do it. We're happy to fight by your side, and it seems way too easy.
From his estranged brother,
Yeah. And we later learn that Lady Ochiba has already gotten to this brother, and he has agreed to be the new regent and has been offered a seat on the council to betray his brother and to convince him to come and submit to the fate of the council.
Lady Ochiba. That's such a clever move to get his brother, because she probably knows that he's gonna go, if he's desperate, he's gonna go to his brother for help. So like we said in the previous episode, like Lord Toranaga is now playing this chess game with an equal of his and Lady Ochiba. So yeah, it looks like he's been outplayed, and even Blackthorn has had enough. And just like at the end, he's like, you're all dead, and just like storms out.
This show is so good at like setting up moments of tension, or like that slow, like royal, like the bubbling underneath. Because as soon as the brother's there and Lord Toranaga is like trying to give him the traditional welcome with like wooing him over with the various gifts. He's given him kiku for a week. He's treating him to a feast, and you're just like, okay, what is happening? Like, when is the other shoe gonna drop? Like, you're just uncomfortable the whole time. And part of me, too, was like, please, please, please don't make this another red wedding where, like, people are suddenly going to die. My heart can't take it.
Any celebration is always the undertone of like, is this about to turn into a massacre? Yeah.
And he's wearing white. Or at least, like, something that's very close to white. So it's like, okay, is this symbolizing the new transition? Or is this symbolizing that he's about to, like, murder everybody? And he's about to be grieving, his brother's death? I don't know.
Yes. Oh man, I love that scene during their like dinner when Nagakado is asking to hear stories about his father from when they were young, and his uncle, is it Sakai?
Mm-hmm.
Is he
Psyche? Or Psyche?
Psyche?
I think, yeah.
Psyche, yes. Sorry. And he tells Nagakado, "Do you want to hear legends or do you want to hear the truth?" And I was like, man, nobody will call you out like your family. Like, he put him on blast, telling the story about when Toranaga was sent away as a prisoner and how he like shat himself on the horse or whatever. And
Yeah.
just everybody's faces just like crestfallen of like, what do we say? Like our Lord's brother is like telling this really damning story about him. But yeah, I definitely think that like ever since their first meeting, there was like this undertone of like, is their relationship a positive one, or is this like an estranged brother that they secretly hated each other? And we do see there's some kind of rivalry or some kind of bitterness there.
Yeah. Because he does also mention, like, "Oh, hey, you sought out your mediocre brother. I guess you
Mm.
need my help."
Yes, it does sound like Toranaga was the favored son.
Yeah. So he definitely seems bitter, but man, oof, that betrayal. And then also, one of my favorite moments in this episode is when Gin asks for a stick of time with Lord Toranaga, and we get that scene where ultimately she's like wanting to unionize. She
Yeah,
wants like a
hell yeah.
sex workers union, and I'm like, this is awesome. She wants Lord Toranaga's protection, even should he fall. Like, she wants the protection to extend beyond that in Edo. So there's some really great lines in that scene too. She says, "Fate is like a sword, useful only to those who can wield it."
Mm.
And I'm like,
The
yes, I
wisdom.
love it. Yeah. Because she's surprised, as are we. Like, she thinks that Toranaga has to have another plan here because he's always seeing so many steps ahead. Like, why would he leave himself open to this? It
Yeah, she
seems like
even
it
asked
has
him
to
why
be.
he would reach out to his estranged brother. And he's like, "You think this is my will?" I don't know. I'm like, is he like in his old age? Is he like slipping? Did they catch him slipping, or is
I
he
don't
actually have
know.
some kind of secret plan?
And why would he have a weak spot, like, or a blind spot for a brother who he doesn't trust? Like, that's the confusing part. I can get having
Hmm.
a blind spot for somebody that you love or, like, fully, or I don't know, you don't have so much beef with to begin with, but, like, it's surprising. Like, if he actually doesn't have a plan, I will be surprised here.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, oh, and there's the order for Nagakado to commit seppuku, and he's about to accept it. And Toranaga
Yeah.
shouts. This is the first time we hear him raise his voice, and he says, "Don't accept it."
Yeah.
And I love the scenes with Toranaga and Nagakado in this episode because I feel like he's at his wits' end with his son. And he's like, how many times do I have to tell you? Like, use your brain. Yeah.
I really wanna know what the plan is because we see, Toranaga takes a day to think it over. And then when it's time for him to give his decision, he ultimately submits to his fate, saying he will go and face the council. And then Blackthorn throws a tantrum and is like, "You've condemned everybody. Like, I'm out of here," and storms off. And we're
I'm
just
surprised he
like,
was able to just walk away.
we're just looking
I
at
thought
him like,
somebody would stop him. Yeah.
okay. Well, it's also funny too because it's like, okay, well then we will leave tomorrow, and then we get this extra night there. It's not like he's submitting and coming right away.
Hmm.
And then he, like, Blackthorn, like, deliberately looks at Yabushige and, Nagakado and, like, calls them out, and then we get this, like, weird thing happening with Kiku, who I'm thinking, like, okay, this plan must have been at least, because Nagakado, we found out, comes in, and then but, like, Omi has to be in on it too, right? For
So I
Kiku,
don't
like,
know. Omi is scheming because okay, earlier in the episode when Omi goes to look for Kiku and Ojin is like she's not available and like what happens in my tea house isn't anybody's business, but it looked like
yeah.
the Anjin had his mind somewhere else. And then we get that scene where Omi is talking to Buntaro and he's like, aren't you proud of your wife serving the Anjin? Just like trying to stir the
Yeah,
pot.
trying to stoke it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I feel like you're right that Omi was involved in that attack, but I feel like he probably wasn't there because he was trying to set Nagakado up.
That he just convinced Kiku to do that, because she was like part of her thing was like, "How about some more advanced play?" Because, he was into breath play, and so she was about to elevate it, and that's how
to
she
increase
got
his
him
pleasure.
to yeah, she got him to let his guard down for a second. I was
I,
dying too, some of these scenes when Blackthorn, like, because for so many episodes, he's been like, "Where's my ship? Where's my men?" Like, trying to get his ship and his men from Lord Toranaga, and when, Mariko looked at him like, "Please don't." Again, like, she gave him that look, and I was like, "Will you listen to her this time?" Because last time we had that blow up with, Buntaro, and she was, like,
mhm.
looking at him during dinner like, "Please, I'm telling you, don't step in this." And here again in this episode, she's like, "Please stop asking Lord Toranaga for more."
Yeah, Blackthorn was a little hothead, but I feel like he listens to her for the most part this time,
Yeah,
but
yeah. This time he has some restraint.
and their relationship does feel like it's a little strained, Mari Thorn, that is. And we get that scene where Buntaro goes to Lord Toranaga and makes a request to kill Blackthorn. And Toranaga tells him that if he's suspecting that the Anjin is messing around with his wife, then he also needs to take his wife's head. We can see that Buntaro he's not willing to do that because he still loves Mariko, and we get that great scene where like Mariko asks Toranaga if she could take her life, and he slaps the knife out of her hand, and he's like, "Pick a side. Either you're with me or
Well,
you're with him."
that was her response to pick a side, because he starts with, like, "I see you're serving." Again, we get this theme of, like, serving 2 masters. Like, "I see you're
Hmm.
trying to serve me, and you're trying to serve, Blackthorn. Like, choose right now." And I feel like at this moment, like, he's been pushed to this limit because he's been betrayed by his brother.
Mm.
And so he's feeling like, "Who can I trust? Like, whose devotion do I actually have who will, like, listen to me and follow my orders?" And instead of, like, saying she picks him or saying she picks Blackthorn, she's like, "Please let me commit seppuku." Like, here. Like, that's her answer. She doesn't
Oh
actually,
yeah,
like, literally give a verbal response. Her
that's
actions is just be like, I'm tortured. I'm in pain, like, every day of my life." Like, "You're torturing me even more, like, making me choose."
dang. Oh yeah, I didn't even really think about it that way. That's really sad. I feel like because
Yeah.
she loves what she's doing with Toranaga, and she also loves Blackthorn. So it's like, how could she
Mhm.
choose?
Yeah.
Oh man. It does seem like they're his like inner circle, all of them are kind of everything's kind of falling apart in this episode.
Yeah. I really hope he has a plan. But, I mean, I'm sure his plan was not to have his son go and do that.
Well, so Nagakado, the goober that he is, he fumbles the assassination. And when he busts his head open and dies, like earlier in the episode, there's a moment where he gets caught talking mess, and he thinks that like dying is there's like beauty in an honorable death or in death in battle. And his uncle tells him that like there's no such thing as that, and like death is just a dark lonely road that you
Yeah.
go down in the woods. And I
And
was
we
like, dang.
we also get him saying to Fuji, like, he should have been the one to stand up for his father, not Fuji's husband who ended up having to commit seppuku. He's basically saying, "I should have done it. I should have stood up, and then I would have been the one to commit seppuku, not your husband." And then she's like, "We do what we can when we can. We can only hope it's enough."
Hmm.
And then it's sad too, because it's like, he's trying to do what he can when he can, and it's not enough.
Yeah,
It's just this
he's
horrible
fallen
fate.
short. I do love the moment when his uncle is like, "Where is the beauty in this?" As Nagakado's bleeding out in the pond. Um,
Me too.
yeah, it's a really like sad, somber moment because I feel like they're still family, and it's still just like really tragic. But personally, I was like, "Come on, Nagakado, man, at least at least kill your uncle. If you like, just
I
do something
know.
right."
It looked like he had only, like, hurt his ankle with the uncle or something, 'cause I thought maybe,
Mhm.
like, did he get him? Did he get him a little bit? 'Cause he was injured, but no, it looked like he only, like, twisted his ankle. 'Cause he
Yeah.
stands up and is looking at him and like, "Oh, this is just so sad," you know? Poor baby.
I thought Blackthorn was going to be the one that was going to try to assassinate during the tea house scene because Blackthorn stormed off, and I feel like the whole time everybody was like, tell him to be on his best behavior, and I feel like to attack someone at a tea house is like feels like more of like a privateer pirate thing than
Yeah.
something that a lot of the characters that we met so far would do. But I mean, Nagakado has kind of been like, going off the rails for a while. So
I'm still wondering, like, is there a way Blackthorn can get to a ship? We know that the harbor is, like, kinda being blocked now. So I feel like they're,
Mhm.
like, preventing that, but I was hoping he would, like, team up with Yabushige somehow and get to a ship. I like that moment of them when Yabushige is venting to him and they can't really understand each other, and he's, like, trying to teach him how to fight with the sword and keeps slapping.
Yeah, he's like, you don't even know how to use this. You're an idiot.
Why am I talking to you?
But then we get that moment when Buntaro runs over with his sword drawn and holds it up to Blackthorn's neck. And Blackthorn's like, go on then.
Yeah.
It might as well be now.
Can't get to my
So
ship.
yeah, it's like, there's this bad blood. And like all of these fragile alliances are sort of all that Lord Toranaga has to hold on to, which in a way is kind of his own fault because, like he said in a previous episode, he feels like there's always only enemies around. And so he kind of keeps people at an arm's length. Um, and I mean, he kind of like talks to Hiramatsu and like there's some kind of camaraderie between them. And he even asked Hiramatsu like why he didn't speak up when his brother was telling the story of hacking off the his first enemy's head during the war all
Mhm.
those years ago. But it does seem like Lord Toranaga is sort of like alone because he can't really be open with any of his allies.
Yeah. We do see too that as reluctant as Toranaga was initially to listen to Gin about creating a space for these tea houses and offering protection, he does write them into his will. So he does listen to her.
I'm glad he did. I was like, man, you need allies right now. Come
Yeah.
on.
But I am hoping, like, again, like, maybe her message got through about being able to wield fate like a sword. Like, even if he goes and surrenders, maybe there will be another plan that he has? Something?
I don't know.
He's such a master at the game, though.
I don't know. I mean, there's only a few episodes left in the season, and I'm like, is Toranaga about to get taken off the field? Like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to the Blackthorn if this happens? Like, yeah,
I don't know. I like the idea of a stick of time, too. I thought that was cool. That's, like, a literal instant stick of time that you get to, like, talk to somebody.
that is really
The amount of
cool.
time it takes to burn. Yeah. Well, I hope he can get out of it, Carmen.
I hope so too. I mean, when he and Blackthorn were swimming together, I was like, Toranaga's doomed, but I feel like it's too soon. So,
I
uh,
also I found it interesting that he didn't wanna say what, Blackthorn's role was,
mm,
and I'm wondering if that's kind of like his back pocket card too, whatever that is, or
because
something?
everybody underestimates the barbarian.
Yeah, and then, like, Blackthorn says to him after he goes on his little tirade about, "Where's my ship?" Whatever, for a second, he says, "My fate is tied to yours," or something, right?
Something like that.
Something like that. So I was like, "Huh, okay. Alright,
Which
we'll
why
see what
is why I
happens."
was like, is this part of the plan of like Blackthorn throwing a fit and storming off? But I don't know. Nothing seemed nothing in this episode happened. So something might happen in the next episode. Because I think that's the last time we see Blackthorn in this episode. So we don't know where he went after that.
We don't know. Or if Toranaga kind of foresaw what he might do without telling him, you know?
Mhm.
So, I love the show. I can't wait.
I love it too. I'm excited.
It's so good. Thank you all so much for joining us. We're at Take This TV on TikTok and Instagram. You can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Watch us on YouTube. And remember, it's dangerous to watch TV alone.